Okay, so we're gonna learn how to draw a picture, take an image, and then draw it, layer it in 3D in Solidworks. So open up Solidworks, so double click on Solidworks and go to File, New, Part, and we want to make sure we're in IPS, so imperial units, so IPS. And then we're going to start by extruding. We're going to extrude a square. We're going to make a square. And on the front plane, so go to the corner square, go down to the origin, drag it up. Then we're going to smart dimension it out. And we'll make it 2 by 2. And we're gonna extrude it out, so exit sketch, and then that'll bring up the 3D feature, extruding. And we're gonna change that depth to 1/4 of an inch, so 0.25, enter. And then check it off, and we'll have a regular square, and that's what we're gonna put our image on. So the next thing is find your own image, and you're gonna be tracing over it. So we can try a guitar. Anything you want. How about this one? So once you have a guitar, you're going to save the image. So right click on the image, save image as, and save it in a spot. I save a lot of stuff to the desktop. It's not recommended if you have folders on a network, but just for easy access. And name it guitar, and it'll be a JPEG image. So I'm going to save it. Go back into SolidWorks. You should have seen the image, and there it is on your desktop. Go back into SolidWorks. We're gonna make the image, copy the image to this face. So you're gonna click on the face, and then appearances. Sorry about that. So edit appearances, click edit appearances up here, and then you're gonna click this face. We don't want the whole part, so you're gonna click this face and then click the front face. Go into advanced and browse, and you're gonna go to the desktop, and you have to search for the different file, and so go into all files, and guitar should pop up. You're going to open that, and then it's going to have you save it as a SolidWorks P2M appearance, and that's okay, so just save it. And now you want to make this guitar bigger, so you're going to, out here, when it has the arrows all around, you're gonna click and then zoom in. So zoom in like that, and check it off, So now you have your image. Now we're just going to trace over it. So if you don't have really straight lines and you have like a lot of bends to your lines, you're gonna want to use a spline. So, but the first thing we're gonna do is I only want the guitar. I don't want this entire square. So I'm gonna trace over the guitar with a spline, and then I'm gonna cut it out. So extrude cut, and I'm gonna click the plane I want to cut from. So I click the front, and then I'm just gonna trace with my spline. Now the more points, the more bend it has, and you can zoom in. Looks like an electric guitar. And I'm just going to trace it. It doesn't have to be exact. So if I don't want this down here, I don't have to have it. But if I get the overall shape how I want it. So notice I'm not going too far with the spline, because otherwise I won't be able to curve it in a way that I want. Just far enough. Zooming in and zooming out. Feel free to fast forward through this. So since this is a relatively straight line here, I'm going to use a straight line. And I'm going to go from here to about there. And then I'm going to pick up my curve again with the spline. Kind of going back and forth between straight lines and curves with the spline. That looks a little funky. Get rid of that. And notice I'm not crossing over any of the lines. And doesn't have to be perfect. if you didn't want these tuners, no one's making you put them in. It's up to you, your artistic discretion. Doesn't have to be perfect. Just going around. It's not exactly on the line. It's not gonna do anything. Connect all the dots. And then once you have, for some of you that have more intricate designs, you may cross over in sections over here, and it's not, Solidworks won't recognize it as a shape. So if you have something overlapping, it's not going to know it's a shape, so you're not going to have this shaded in color. But once you have the shaded in color, right, what I want to do is just cut out everything around this guitar. So I'm going to cut out everything around this guitar and just leave the guitar, and then I'm going to put in more detail with the guitar. So to do that, I need to create a square while I'm still in this sketch around the box. Okay, so I created the square. So now I have a sketch within a sketch, right? I have a shape within a shape. So when I hit exit sketch, it's not going to know what I want to cut away. So I'm going to select the contour, and I'm going to select the contour outside, and I'm going to 0.25 is the thickness of my original box. So if I make it a little bit less, by 1/10, it's gonna cut almost all the way through, but not all the way through. So I'll try that. So now it's kind of like a platform, right? I kind of have my guitar standing on a platform, and now I'm going to put in more detail. So the more detail you put in, the better it's going to come out, and the more colors you can add to it. So right now you could only really introduce a couple colors because you have 2 layers. So you're going to be making layers with each cut. So to make some more colors, or make some more layers, maybe I'll do the hardware. So the hardware meaning the metallic stuff. So these where the different frets are, and the knobs, the control knobs. I'm going to cut those in. So I'm going to open up my sketch and I'm going to click in here, and then I'm going to start to make some of these different hardware items. So center it to about right. And again, it doesn't have to be perfect. People are going to get the idea of what it is. Okay. Leave these guys up here. I'm trying to center them about. So the more sketches you have, the more detailed it's going to come out. So I'll make these boxes here. Here. That looks like a slot, so I'm going to use straight slot. But it's crooked a little bit. Put this point and this point like that. And then I can trace this bottom piece. I'll use a spline for that. And quick Control Z is always your back pedal if you need to undo something you did. Control Z. It's actually that for a lot of different programs, not just Solidworks. A hotkey, that's what they call it. So since this is overlapping, I'm going to have to trim it. So to trim, you're going to go to this with the scissors and then power trim, and then you're just going to draw a line where you want it to trim. So I want to trim this arc right here, so I'm just going to draw a line through it, and notice this is needs to be trimmed too because it's overlapping. So I'm going to trim that, and then it's shaded, so then that's something I can cut out. So I'm going to put this rod in. It looks pretty straight. I'll put it there. And again, you don't have to be perfect, so I'm just going to put it without this like extension on here, and I'm just going to make it a square. It's your piece. It's nobody else's, so you can do what you want with it. Trim entities again. I have the power trim on, so notice again I need to get rid of this. So now it's one whole piece, and I can extrude it up, or I can cut it. I'm going to cut these in. I'm going to cut all of these in, like I did with the other piece. So I'm going to go into Features and Extrude Cut, and I'm going to go into Selected Contours, and I'm going to select all of these pieces that I just created. Alright, and for this, so with the powder printer, it rolls out in layers of 0.02 inches. So 0.02 inches will show up, but you can go deeper. Obviously not too deep because it's only a 1/4 inch wide. So I'm going to put this one 0.04, so a couple layers in. So 0.04. And that'll be deep enough to show up on the powder printer. Alright, so once you kind of have your cuts, right? So see how these are cut in. Once you kind of have it, looks like a guitar to you. So I'm just gonna put in a couple, some more lines or something if I were to wanted to print this out. But just for showing purposes, I'm going to start coloring it, and I'll show you what's gonna come out. So right now, you see color on the image, but the printer won't recognize that color. So in order for the printer to recognize the color, you actually have to put it in. So you're going to go to Edit Appearances, and then get rid of the solid part because that's the entire thing. And then, so these are the selected geometries that you want to do. So if you choose a face, that's just like the face of an object. So if you were to choose a face like this, all the outside, say you want that one color, you can click that, and let's say we want it red, and check it off. Now that will print out red, but this guitar won't print out in any color because you haven't colored it anything. So we're going to introduce color to the guitar. So I'm going to click into Appearance again, get rid of this solid part. It automatically prompts that, but we don't want it because that colors the entire part and you don't want that. So I'm going to select the face of the guitar, and we're going to make that green, or how about orange? So now you have an orange guitar with a red background. If you wanted to color the outside, right, the outside of this, you can do that. So go into Edit Appearance, get rid of this, faces, and you can select all the faces that you want to add color. Okay, and maybe I'll make that a deeper orange, almost a brown, so it'll add a little depth to it. And let's color the inserts. So edit appearance. Now, since we did all of these cuts, right, all of these cuts in one geometry, in one function, you can go to features, selected features, and then once you select this feature, it's gonna select all of it because we cut that all in one shot. So if we select this, the Extrude Cut feature, right, it's gonna color everything in there. Now, if you wanted to color things individually, you would go to the face function. You would go to the face geometry, and you would select individual things. So maybe I want, we'll do a gray. All right. So let's say I wanted to print this. We wanted to print this out. We're going to save. I should have saved it before. So save as guitar for the part, and then for the powder printer to recognize it, you actually have to save it as a vermil, VRML, and you would just save it as a guitar, and that would be how the powder printer would pick it up. And yeah, that's a basic guide for creating, taking an image and creating something 3D out of it.